We help out so many of you guys when you are relocating to the area to the Pensacola Metro, when you are purchasing a home. But the thing about it is, even though we talk to probably hundreds of you in a year, there's only a few of you that actually choose to make the move. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be focusing on the other portion of you who decide not to make Pensacola your next home. I'm also going to take that a step further though, because one thing that we like to do on our channel is we like to kind of relate personal or local references, right? We don't like to just do the whole ChatGPT or Google to find all this information. I always watch all the other videos or all the other YouTubers in the area, what they're doing, and it blows my mind. And there's times where I could like match up what ChatGPT says and what they're saying almost verbatim, and that's why we like to bring you a true local insight. And then at the end, there's a few misconceptions that people do kind of throw out there as to why people aren't relocating into Pensacola. I'm going to debunk a few of those for you, and so let's go ahead and hop into this video. The first topic that we are going to cover is the job market. Now, I will say there's probably about 80% of you who relocate here that we do work with when purchasing a house here, that you're already working remote, or you might already be retired. You're not really looking for a job when you come into the area, but there are a few who are kind of looking for positions here and they aren't able to find them, or they find that it doesn't pay as well as where they are currently coming from. Majority of the time when we run into those scenarios, they're relocating from like a larger city area where they are getting paid much more as compared to moving here. And it's like usually like when we look at medical, for example. My wife, when we moved down here, we noticed that she was making more as a brand new nurse back in Denver, Colorado, as compared to when she was a case manager here after having, like almost 10 years of experience within her field. But like I said, since the majority of you are working remote or you might be retired, that's really not one of the things that is holding you back. But there are many instances when we do talk with you guys over the phone or a Zoom call where you're like, you know, I just can't quite find the job, and so I'm not going to be able to make my move into the Pensacola metro area. All right, we're going to hop into the second reason that we are seeing why people aren't relocating into Pensacola. And I need to watch my words, because I keep saying the Pensacola metro area, but I'm really trying to gear this video specifically towards the city of Pensacola, not the surrounding areas. And that's where this second topic comes into place, where we see a lot of people do not choose Pensacola due to the schools. Now, me personally, like I said, what I like to do is pretty much send you over to niche.com. That's the main resource that we use. You could always use greater schools. I think Zillow has some resources as well too when you are looking up these schools. Now, overall, according to niche.com, Escambia County comes in at a B. And you're looking at that, you're like, you know what, that's above average, that's not bad. But if we actually go into the map, which I highly recommend you do if you are using niche.com, it's right on the left-hand side of the screen when you're scrolling down, and it has like map, and then it shows you a map of all the schools and what their grades are. What you will notice, and I'm actually going to pop up some B-roll right now, is when we are talking about the city of Pensacola, it's pretty full of C's in there. And so you guys look at that, you're like, you know what, Pensacola, I'm looking at these schools, and if we get a little bit more over towards Cordova Park or a little bit more on the east side of Pensacola, the school grades look a little bit better. But we have noticed that you guys do not end up choosing Pensacola because of the schools within Escambia County, more specifically the city of Pensacola. All right, we are going to hop into that third one. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I am personally trying to slow down my speech because I always like rewatch my videos to see what I can do better. And I've noticed I can get talking pretty darn fast. So I'm trying my best to slow down. I wish there was some way, like with live or something, where I could get you guys to be like, hey Pete, slow your speech down. We can barely hear what you're talking about. So I'm gonna try my best to kind of breathe a little bit and really pronunciate a little bit more. All right, cool. So the third thing that we're gonna be talking about, why we are seeing that those of you we talk to are not relocating into Pensacola, is the housing. What do I mean by that? So we've seen so many times where you guys are objecting to the fact that we really don't have any master plans. We're not anything compared to something like Houston, which is like the master plan capital of the United States right now. Huge master plans. What is a master plan? It's essentially like a community with an HOA that offers all kinds of different amenities, whether we're talking about a community pool, a community center, you know, like rec center or hangout area, all these different things that those master plans do offer. Pensacola just really doesn't have those. In fact, when we are thinking about those master plans in the area, the only one that really comes to mind to me is going to be Holly by the Sea over in Navarre, where they do offer a lot of those amenities you might be looking at when we're talking about a master plan community. And then another thing with the housing too is it's a little old. You know, we don't have too many brand new developments. The majority of the developments that we are looking at when we're talking about new builds is going to be on the outskirts. So like the Beulah area, technically that's within the city of Pensacola, but the majority of them are going to be over in Pace, Milton, the Midway area in between like Gulf Breeze and Navarre. That's where the majority of your new builds are going to be. Not to say you can't find a new build within the city of Pensacola. They're just few and far between, and we really don't have many of those. And some of you, that is what you desire. You are looking at something that is going to be a newer build when we look at like insurance costs, because the age of the home is a determining factor when we are talking about your insurance premiums. And so you might want to be looking for something new you're not really finding here. And what you do find, it's more of that cookie cutter style. I think I actually mentioned this in my last video, you know, which is kind of like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And that's the majority of what you're going to get with the builders here, whether we're talking about Adams Homes, whether we're talking about Lennar, whether we're talking about, what's the other big ones? Holiday Builders. Yeah, it's just like really no semi-custom. And so with that housing, it's not what you guys are. Oh, D.R. Horton, that's the one I was really thinking about. That's like the huge one in the area. It's just not what you're looking for. And then if you are looking for an older home with some character, a lot of them really aren't updated. And I'm not saying that some of them aren't, but it just seems like a few of them are definitely going to need some work. And so the housing is definitely one of those things that you guys always tell us why you decided not to relocate into Pensacola. But if for some reason none of this stuff deters you from wanting to relocate into the Pensacola Metro, guys, I am your top relocation realtor here in the area. I only focus on you 100% of those of you relocating to the area. I don't help anyone else. I don't help any of the locals or anything. So if you do want the top relocation realtor in the area, make sure you give me a call or text at that phone number right below. Right below it there. I always answer. It doesn't matter date or time. But if you're not quite ready to purchase, just want to educate yourself, still in discovery mode on where you want to live, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Notification bell, that way you're notified every single time we put out a brand new video. All right, now that we got that out of the way, another big reason why we notice you guys are not relocating into Pensacola is you're choosing Alabama, and the main city you're choosing is pretty much like Foley, Alabama. Now, it is much different over there. Most of the time when you guys are kind of choosing between the two, it's over cost. You're like, well, you know, it seems like the property taxes are a little bit cheaper over there. It seems like the insurance is a little bit cheaper over there. Maybe a little bit, but you got to take everything into consideration. Florida doesn't have a state income tax, guys. Also, on the other end, I am telling you right now, you might hear it in the news from time to time, depending on where you're living at. They are trying to eliminate property taxes in the state of Florida. So hopefully in 2026, we are going to be seeing something come across where that does happen, or they'll do whatever they can to make sure that they bring those property taxes down. Another thing that you kind of tell us about with Foley is growing like crazy right now. And you kind of enjoy that. You kind of like the fact that a lot of it is newer. You can find newer housing, and so you do end up choosing something over in Alabama, getting a little bit more bang for your buck, it seems like, because it is going to be a newer product. And that is one reason that we realize that you guys pretty much choose Alabama, more specifically Foley, over Pensacola. The fifth reason why we notice that you guys are not relocating into Pensacola is there is a lack of a beach vibe. And you're saying, Pete, what are you talking about? You got Pensacola Beach and all these areas. Like I said, this video is specific for the city of Pensacola, and many times you guys go there and you're like, you know, it just feels a lot more like a southern portion of Alabama than it does an actual beach vibe. You definitely do need to get a little bit more into like the Gulf Breeze, Navarre area, or even Pensacola Beach in order to get that beach vibe. And it's much different. Like I said, we own a property down in Clearwater. The beach vibe down there is fantastic. It's awesome, and you just don't really get it being within the city of Pensacola. This sixth reason, I think I'm on number 6. I don't know. I think I got these things numbered, and I'm trying to like strategically do them in a way to where I know what the last one's going to be. But essentially what it is your guys' plans just change. Whether it be you don't want to leave your family, or maybe you can't sell your house where you're currently coming from. There's a few different things where it gets to a point where you just tell us, you're like, guys, you know what, I really want to be there, but I'm not going to be able to make it work with where I'm currently living at right now. I just can't really make that disconnect, or I can't take that leap, right? It's a huge leap, guys. Believe me, I know. And I understand, because we did it personally for ourselves. Relocating to another place, whether you're familiar with it or not, it is a huge step, especially if you do kind of bring your family into it as well too. That's a huge step, and sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, you just take a step back and you're like, you know what, right now we need to focus on a few things where we currently live, and then maybe in the near future we'll make this happen. All right, the seventh and final reason why you guys are not choosing Pensacola, and then I'm going to dig into a few of these misconceptions that other people are kind of talking about why people don't choose Pensacola, is the fact that you guys are choosing the outlying areas. This is the number one reason why you guys are not choosing the city of Pensacola. You're choosing the other areas, whether we're talking about Gulf Breeze, whether we're talking about Navarre, Pace, Pensacola Beach, Milton, all these different areas, guys. You are choosing outside of the Pensacola city area, and that is the main reason why we see you guys aren't relocating there. You're just seeing something a little bit better. So whether we're talking about housing, where it's like, hey, Pace offers up so much more newer housing that I am looking for, that's why I'm going to relocate to Pace. Whether you want that more of a beach vibe, or I guess that more community vibe, schools, it doesn't matter what it is, you choose Gulf Breeze and then also Navarre. And majority of the time when we see you guys not choosing Pensacola, you're choosing Santa Rosa County due to a few different factors. Like I said, the schools, according to niche.com, are rated better in Santa Rosa County as compared to Escambia County. Now, yes, Florida does have school choice, but having to drive your kid to school every single day, it can get a little cumbersome and such, but we noticed that you guys are definitely choosing these outlying areas more than relocating into the city of Pensacola. All right, let's go ahead and debunk a few of these things that I've been seeing other people talk about why people are not choosing Pensacola. First one is insurance. Guys, we talk to you all the time, and I guarantee there's 90% of you, when we do talk to you, you already understand the fact that insurance premiums can be high here. But it also depends on the situation. When we're talking about flood zones, whether we're talking about what kind of hurricane protection your house has, guys, it could range vastly. And I will just give you a perfect example. We have 2 single-family homes that we own here in the Gulf Breeze area. So out on the peninsula, where everyone thinks that the insurance rates are crazy, they're right around $3,000 a year. And even with that, we have a property up in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. We still have our property back in Denver, Colorado. Both of those properties, the premiums are higher on those ones than what we pay here. And if you get up into there's a property right now where I sent out an insurance quote up kind of in the Spanish Trail area. It blew my mind how cheap that insurance policy was. So it just depends on where you're at. If you want to be right on the water, of course, I'm telling you guys, it's going to be crazy when we're talking about these insurance premiums. But just know that it's not crazy everywhere. There's not insurance companies leaving by the droves. There's so many that you can pick from. We could recommend a few to you that we personally like. But outside of that, like I said, guys, insurance, the reason that people don't choose Pensacola, we just personally aren't seeing that based on those of you that we do talk to. This one, I can't believe that I actually saw this one, and I don't know. So one reason that I heard that people aren't relocating to Pensacola is affordability. I don't get that whatsoever. Like, if you just look at the stats, Pensacola is like 12.8% cheaper than the national average. You could definitely find a great home within Pensacola, like around $200,000, $300,000. Back where I came from, you couldn't find a condo for less than $6,000, right? So the affordability thing, I really don't get it. I will tell you, with affordability, we have noticed that like the electricity here is a little bit more expensive as compared to where we came from, and it is more expensive than your national average. But I mean, a lot of times, if you're on a well system or some type of a reclaimed water system, your lawns are getting watered by that water, where you just have one monthly fee. That's it. You can use as much or as little as you want. Like, we personally pay, I think it's like $10 a month, unlimited water to water my lawn, where I know if I was back in Colorado watering my lawn right now, that would easily bring my bill up at like $150 extra during the summer just to watch my lawn. But like I said, the affordability thing, I don't get that, but I figured I'd at least dive into it just because maybe some of you are thinking that it's not that affordable to live within Pensacola. Hurricanes, this is another thing I heard. Now, there are a few of you that we talk. Here's the thing, if you're scared of hurricanes or it's deterring you into moving into the area, you're not going to even look into Florida in the first place, unless you're looking like into the Midland of freaking like the center of Florida or something like that. It's just, I mean, it's one of those things like insurance. You expect it. You're like, you know what? It's going to be hurricanes. It is what it is. A lot of you people would prefer to be like, within 30 minutes of the water. That way you're a little bit outside of it a little bit. Some of you really don't give a crap. You're like, you know what? When a hurricane comes, bring it on. It just depends on your attitude towards the hurricanes. Us personally, we have not experienced a hurricane since we relocated into the Pensacola metro area, but we have had 2 of them hit our property down in Clearwater. And it just, I feel like it's blown out of proportion. Not to say that it can be a huge tragedy, because it can be. People lose their homes, there's flooding, all these things. I'm just saying that when you kind of expect that you are going to be in an area that does have those hurricanes, just make sure you're prepared. Make sure you have your generators, your window AC units, your flashlights, all that stuff. Being prepared is the best way to kind of go about that. And then if you are really worried about all the flooding and all the things, then we are going to make sure that we keep you out of those flood zones, that we are keeping you away from the water a little bit. Outside of that, it really isn't one of those main concerns when talking to you guys relocating into the area. All right, this is another one that I heard someone talking about, which I can't believe they talk. Traffic. If you got a problem with traffic in the Pensacola metro area, all I could say is you've never lived in a big city. Because we okay, so we live in Gulf Breeze right now. In 98, it does suck because of all the road construction, but guess what? They're widening it so that it's 3 lanes on each side. After it's done, it's going to be amazing. Outside of that, guys, this traffic here is nothing compared to what we came from back in Denver, Colorado. The worst traffic you're going to experience is like Blues weekend or Memorial Day weekend, getting over the bridge. Even then, we just went to the Blues show. I think it took us maybe an extra 20 minutes to get across the bridge. Now, coming back, that's the thing. When you're coming back from the Blues, if you're parked all the way down by like Portofino, yeah, it could potentially take 3 to 4 hours to get back across the bridge. You just got to be a little bit smarter when you are doing shows like that. Outside of that, traffic, guys, it really isn't that big a deal, especially if you are used to being in a larger city. Traffic is nothing here. All right, guys, that is it. I brought you all the stuff for the people that we talked to who are not choosing Pensacola as their next home. If you are looking at purchasing real estate though, and none of this stuff deters you, make sure you give me a call or text at that phone number right below. Right below right there. We always answer, it doesn't matter date or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, still in discovery mode, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time we put out a brand new video. Till next time, we love ya. Bye.